The Dragon Ball community recently lost voice actor Chris Ayres, who passed away on October 18th after a 4-year fight with COPD. Let us take a moment to remember the voice of Frieza from Dragon Ball Z Kai through Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now onto my review of what is viewed as the successor to the Legacy of Goku GBA series. Here is my review of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for the Nintendo Switch. Kakarot follows the tale of the original Dragon Ball Z. It puts the players through the entire story from the arrival of Raditz in the Saiyan saga through the Kid Buu fight at the end of the Dragon Ball manga. The game does a nice job at showcasing iconic events from the show, putting some picture-perfect recreations of really big moments. Seeing the dinosaur chasing Gohan early on to the iconic awakenings of Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 are beautifully done. Now what the game does with this retelling has good and bad. Weird liberties are taken that make it close but not quite canon, but at the same time, it's a bit closer to the manga than anime, improving the overall characters of people like Chi-Chi and Mr. Satan. When it comes to gameplay, this is a 3D action RPG with arena fighter combat. As you play, you'll navigate large sandboxes, customize your party with skills and equipment, and fight enemies in real-time combat. First and foremost, the Switch version of Kakarot has more than just the original game. It comes packed with the first 2 expansions based around the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F Dragon Ball Z movies, otherwise known as the start of the Dragon Ball Renaissance. The other DLC around future Trunks is available as well, but must be purchased separately. With progression, the game has a plot to push you forward, but it works like an RPG with tons of things to do on the side. You always have large sandbox areas you can fly around and explore. These are filled with enemies to fight, but also side stories, missions, mini-games like fishing and shooting key at dinosaurs for materials and items, and little training areas you can go to fight through challenges and get new abilities. You pretty much always have a main task with side ones to do as well. The nice thing here is that those side stories often have story involved and do a lot to help you get materials and levels needed for the next main story bit. Now at first, this feels like an open world game, and it isn't quite at that level. Each area is huge like a big sandbox, but it isn't connected to the other areas. You have to go to the world map to access various regions. Next, let's go into combat. Every fight takes place in a large 3D arena. You'll constantly be flying and doing combos with physical attacks as well as firing off specials with chargeable energy. This is a bit more simplified and focused on stunning and knocking away enemies, following up with energy beams to inflict lots of damage. And fun fact, in the original version of Kakarot, certain skills with homing abilities were crazy powerful and thought to be broken and completely overpowered. Consecutive Energy Blast and Rapid Fire Key Wave, something that has never once worked in the anime, are still just as absurdly powerful in the game and can be spammed for magnificent results. You will have some fights where a combo tied to a beam will do more overall damage, but that remains a pretty safe option if you will get into a tough spot and want to start using what I call the spamination. Now after you win a battle, you get experience and different colored orbs. These orbs are used in character customization to do upgrades and make things more efficient in combat. This is also a reason to do the side stories, as they give you way more orbs than normal battles in the sandbox. You'll also get soul emblems for characters as you finish side missions, letting you put those characters on grids for different parts of the game, giving you a lot of passive buffs. These systems work well together, though it can get a bit repetitive on the higher difficulties. You won't really ever need to level grind on easy or normal, but some of the fetch quest side stories can get a bit tiring. I went through the first couple sagas doing every side story every time, but there were a couple during the Cell saga that I just skipped as I didn't want to randomly go fetch ingredients from fishing and hunting. And that brings us to content and length. Being an action RPG that goes through the entire story of Dragon Ball Z, you can expect to put in a lot of hours. Even if you skip most of the more extensive side content, I would expect you to be spending no less than 25 to 30 hours from start to finish. Now once the game is done, you've got a bunch of side stories available in the post-game, and the Time Machine ability allows you to re-recruit future Trunks and replay previous story arcs and battles for anything you might have missed. Now we get to presentation. CyberConnect 2 has always been known for making beautiful anime games, and this is exactly that. Now the Switch version has those same weird pixelation issues with cinematics that Sonic Colors did. It still looks good in handheld mode, but the motion has some weird pixelation. But when you go to gameplay, there are some jaggies here and there, but everything looks huge, detailed, and gorgeous. From the super attacks in combat to the recreated iconic scenes, this game is a visual treat for any fan of the franchise. It plays pretty well too. The game stays at 30 FPS pretty much the entire time. The only frame dips I saw were traveling through the big city areas in handheld mode during cutscenes, or if there were a huge amount of characters on screen at once. I've got nothing else to say about performance, so let's dive into battery life. The original model gives Kakarot a battery range of 2 hours and 13 minutes up to 2 hours and 52. The Nintendo Switch Lite gives it a range of 3 hours and 18 up to 4 hours and 35. The Redboxer V2 2019 model gives it a range of 4 hours and 46 up to 5 hours and 41. And the Nintendo Switch OLED model gives it a range of 4 hours and 50 up to 5 hours and 45. In conclusion, Kakarot arrives on a handheld, beefing the Switch's already great lineup of Dragon Ball content. Now on the downside, the game can get a little repetitive on higher difficulties, and there are some small frame dips when there's a lot going on. But anyone willing to forgive a couple minor dips here and there will find a beautiful Dragon Ball adventure that looks good and feels great. Reviews to go rates Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for the Nintendo Switch an 8.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.